Hi family, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're well. I hope you're doing great. Like I said from the previous video, we are doing a marriage series. Okay, so today I will be answering question number 2. But before that, Nzami amuke la Nzami amuke la. So today we'll be discussing point number 2. Okay, question number 2. Whew, okay, I just looked at it. Wow. Okay, so the second question is, how do you deal with your in-laws? Like dealing with in-laws. Yo, this is deep, guys. Like dealing with in-laws. Okay, first and foremost, these are my views and this is my story, and I believe it is my story to tell. And if I do mention people's experiences, it's just as a point of reference. Okay, so how do I deal with in-laws? To be honest, personally, on a personal level, like I don't deal with my in-laws. What? I don't deal with in-laws, guys. To be honest, Habi and I, before getting married, we had very long, extensive conversations and what ifs, and about how we are going to deal with situations. And obviously, with certain situations, you deal with them as they come. So excuse me. So personally, I don't deal with my in-laws. The discussion was each person deals with their own family. Okay. So, okay, for example, Habi does not deal with his in-laws, my family, right? I deal with them, vice versa. And the reason for that is, more especially, I won't really touch on the husband's perspective when it comes to things, because I feel like that's the only stories to tell. But from my experience and observing throughout the years, couples that I know and all of that, we decided that each person will deal with their family. The reason for that is this is a tough topic, guys, because obviously I don't want to offend my in-laws and I don't want to offend my family. You get what I mean? But okay, the first thing that we need to understand is that I married into the family, so I'm like a stranger coming into the family, and people might respond differently. So when it comes to in-laws, it doesn't matter whether it's the husband or the wife. As long as they are your in-law, they can respond in one of 3 ways. They can really love you and accept you the way you are. They can, number 2, they can pretend to like you, but they really don't like you. They tolerate you. And then there's number 3, where they actually point blank period are not going to pretend they don't like you. They don't pretend, they don't act, nothing. They just don't like you like that. So okay, maybe there are other ways, but normally with what I know of what I've seen, it's normally those 3 things. They like you, they pretend to like you, or they really don't like you and are not even about that pretending business. Okay, so it's very important that you understand that, like, given the dynamics, that you're sort of like a stranger to them coming into their family, they might not be as receptive as you would think they are when you address certain things, right? I can say something and Habi says something, the same thing, but how my in-laws respond will be different. And I attribute that to the fact that maybe I am like a stranger coming into their family. Like literally, we could be saying, we don't like the fact that you come unannounced. Né? If I were to address that, to say, no, okay, please, next time when you visit us, rather call and ask if we're around. If I say that, they'll say, Nsatwatian wa call. Right? That's how they're going to respond. Like, she's a B, she doesn't like us, right? But if Diani was to say no, when you want to visit us, before you come through, check if we're around. They'll be like, yeah, you know what, we understand it was a mistake, we'll try do better next time. You know, that's just the reality of the situation. It could be with my younger sister. Let's say my husband addresses something with my younger sister. My younger sister will be like, yo, this guy, who does he think he is? But if I address it, it'll be like, okay, yeah, no, Sissy is showing me the right direction as to what I should be doing. Do you get what I mean? So I think when it comes to those things, to avoid conflict, we try by all means that each person addresses their family. And another thing, I feel like it's also very important that you know yourself as an individual. I know myself. I am my father's daughter through and through, okay? Like I said in my story time, did I mention it? Okay, I don't know if I mentioned it, né? But I picked up a lot of traits from my dad, you know, and some traits from my mom. Right, personality wise. But if people were to compare my younger sister and I, they'll say my younger sister is my dad, like literally personality wise. I think I am a chakalaka, you know, I am a mix of both. So I know myself. I'm very stubborn and I am very unkind when I am angry. I am a very unkind person. So if I dignify certain comments with a response, it will not be a nice environment. Do you get what I mean? So I think knowing myself and my personality, it was very important to say, okay, Happy, if there are issues, I prefer that you address them, because if I address them, it will not end well, you know? So it's just also, it depends on what works for you. But personally, what works for us is I do not deal with my in-laws. I don't have time to deal with my in-laws. I live my life, okay? I live my life the best way I know how, and if you open up to me and allow me to love you, I will love you. If you are being offish, then that's on you, boo. Like, you keep it moving, you know? But just to touch on one thing that is very important, and this is advice that I got from my mom, right? So you might enter into an institution where you find, like the marriage institution, you find that maybe your in-laws don't like you, your mother-in-law doesn't like you, or your mother-in-law is not necessarily the nicest person in the world, right? The first thing I'll say, I'm not saying pretend and all of that, but learn to love your mother-in-law. Learn to accept her the way she is. Because I'm telling you, for older people to change, I'll give you 10,000 rands. For older people to be receptive to change, I mean, in this pandemic, people see people dying, okay? But older people will still attend funerals. They will still go and sleep in that family, knowing very well that that person passed due to corona, and it might happen that family members have coronavirus, but they'll still go, because that's how it's done culturally, you know. So I think older people, they're not really receptive to change. So what my mom said was that if it so happens that you don't get along with your mother-in-law or whatever, remember that that person birthed your husband, the love of your life, you know. And because you love your husband, you should be able to love your mother-in-law. And that does not mean take nonsense from your mother-in-law and be receptive to BS, but love her. Do you get what I mean? Even if it means loving her from a distance, but love her, respect her, show her the same respect you show your husband, show it to your mother-in-law. So in most cases, and from what I've experienced, it's not very often where you find that the dramatic ones are the brothers-in-law or the father-in-law. Normally it's the mother-in-law and the sister-in-law. The sister-in-law part confuses me, because you'll find that the sister-in-law is married. So my thing is, if you're married, you've had certain experiences. I don't think you would want another person to experience that, but you might find that they still give you a hard time. And the thing about sisters-in-law sometimes is that you want to be heading your family. Let's say I'm the sister-in-law, I want to be in charge of my family, the Mabasa household, but I want to also come back and be in charge of the Mabunda household, right? And that makes it hard for what? For my brother's wife. You get what I mean? It makes it hard, you know. So I think, okay, I don't think it's one of the things that is here. Maybe I'll discuss it, like live my experience living with in-laws, like the things I like, the things I don't like, and all of that. But people don't understand the dynamics of certain things, and they don't really, I feel like sometimes even with us, the brides, we don't really process like how the other person will receive our message, how this will make someone else feel, and all of that. And I'm going to be honest, my first year of marriage was not easy, and some of the issues that I faced was my in-laws, right? And like I'm going to be straight out honest, and I think maybe this is the only thing I'll talk about. I'm not very domesticated. I'm not like that, but I can take care of myself. I won't go to bed hungry if there's food, you know. I can cook, I can do all of that. And there are certain things that growing up I didn't do. Number one, my in-laws don't know why I don't do those things. I don't cook over the fire, and there's a reason for that. But you find that people will make you feel less than, as though they'll make you feel as though you're not a good wife because you can't do those things. Like, for example, I cannot sweep the yard. You know, there's a lot of challenges that I had growing up, like health challenges. That's one of the reasons why when we were telling my dad that I want to get married, he was concerned about. And I think these are some of the things that he had foreseen, which maybe this will be an issue. Do you get what I mean? And people don't understand that, and the only person who would understand that is your husband. So who must address it? Who must say my wife is not doing this, or who must say Inhlala is not doing this? The best person is my husband. And I'm not obligated to tell my in-laws the health issues I have. They should just respect the fact that Ntalala does not do certain things. But it is not always the case. Okay? So I think it's also that's the reason why boundaries are very important. Creating those boundaries and saying that, okay, maybe when I'm in your household, I'll do all of those things, but when you come to my household, that's not how things are done, you know. So that's the reason why I think it's very important for your partner to stand up for you. The same goes for my husband. My family will never speak ill of my husband in my presence. No, ma'am. What? My man? No. Okay, so I think that's the reason why, like, those dynamics are very important. So I mean, there's a lot of things that happen in this institution of marriage. And the one thing I realized venturing into the institution of marriage, like, you know, when people talk about divorce and all of that, we always think, okay, no, it's because he cheated, no, it's because, you know, they had financial troubles, what. Sometimes it's not even that. Sometimes it's in-laws. Sometimes I am the problem. You find that my uncle, my brother, my cousin is married to a beautiful lady, and I feel the need to make the lady's life miserable, you know. So what is the lady going to do? She's gonna leave, because why must she suffer? You know. So the one thing I know, like the Mabundas do, I don't know if it's everyone, but obviously it depends on whether the bride is receptive to what we do. But normally our grandmother, what she would say is that, like, if there's a newlywed, she'll be like, no, you must like, whenever mama, let's say the person's name is Beauty, So if Mama Beauty is around, ne, make sure like when she's cooking, all of you are around, right? Like be asking her if she needs help. Like if she wakes up in the morning at 6, make sure like around that time you are also awake, you are available to assist. Like if you see her sitting alone, go sit with her. Like if there's a funeral, if there's make sure you keep an eye out for Mama Beauty and be assisting her. And I think that makes it easier for you to get the hang of things, you know. And you also feel like, okay, this family really likes me, even if they're pretending they really like me. But obviously it might happen that Mama Beauty, like, honestly, is just not about us, so she doesn't care about us and all of that, which is fine. But we have created an environment for her to be comfortable, an environment for her to be free, you know, an environment for her where she will not feel like she's a visitor, she's a guest. She will feel like she's part of the family. And I think that's the struggle that most of us face, is that when you are at your in-laws, you don't feel like you're at home. You feel like you are visiting, and you like, you know, like I have a friend who's like, bruh, like December, I even have a countdown. Even if I'm home for 3 days, I have a countdown to say, hey, I need to be going home. I have friends who say, no, when we go home at December, because their in-laws are not the kindest people. When we go home at December, Mr. X will go to his home. Mrs. X, I'll go to my father's house. We'll come back to Gauteng ka January. We'll meet at home, like our own home, ka January. And why is that? Most of the time, you might find that it's because of the hostile environment that people are in. Because now you marry into a family, the family has, like your husband, for example. I won't talk about the wife because I don't know my husband's experience or men, but normally I have conversations with women. You find that your husband has 5 siblings, maybe females, let's say female siblings, 5 female siblings. All of them have a minimum of 2 kids. Got December, all those kids, meaning 10 kids, visit their grandparents, which is your in-laws, right? And maybe you also have your own kids. You have 3 kids. Now there are 13 kids. Excuse me. And some of your sisters-in-law as well will come visit their mother and father. So you find that the household has 20 plus people. They expect you to cook. They expect you to clean. They expect you to make sure that the kids are bathed, the kids are ready for bed and what. But now they relax. Excuse me, what? Give me 0. So obviously in that type of situation, what do you expect the bride to do? To beg as hell and take care of 20 plus people. Who's taking care of her? How is she supposed to take care of her man? How is, like in the sanctuary, how is she supposed to do that? No. So like there are certain things that I understand, like why people would do certain things. And like before marriage I wouldn't really understand, but once I got married and I got exposed to certain things, I understand why people make certain decisions. Like I didn't understand why my husband would act some type of way or do certain things. Like for example, I'll give you an example. This December we had a family function, like my in-laws side of the family, right? So my husband was like, okay, they were like, okay, no, we'll leave at this time, meaning the people who were going there to prepare, right? I'm a person where I might not be very domesticated, but I like helping. I can do things like do the dishes or and all of that. So now you find that like my mother-in-law told me like, no, we're leaving at 8, you know, what. And my husband's like, no, you're not explaining that pretty well. There are 2 options. You can leave at 8 or you can leave later on around 11 with me. But if you're leaving at 8, you'll be leaving with my sister, like my sister-in-law, right, sis? So I was like, so my mother-in-law was like, okay, so which option do you choose? And then I looked at my husband. My husband was like, girl, you better say nothing, you know? So I was like, I don't know. I'll see in the morning. It depends on what time I wake up. When we got to the sanctuary, my husband was like, Bonamo girl, you're not going anywhere at 8. And I'm just letting you know, even if you wake up at 6, you'll stay in this room until they leave. Right? And I was like, Mo guy, what's your problem? You know, because my thought process is that even if there are people who would make certain comments or remarks or whatever, my mother-in-law is around, my sister-in-law is around, I know them. Does it make sense? It won't be like I'm in a completely new environment, I don't know anyone. My husband was like, baby girl, relax, okay? You are going to leave when I leave. And I didn't understand that until after the function. I asked him, like, why did you do that? It was like, number one, I was protecting you because I know my family. And there are certain things I won't share with you regarding my family, you know, but I know them. And I prefer that if you are in a crowd, especially around my family members, I am present. And I'm like, but what's wrong with you? Why would... And he's like, no. Someone would have the backbone to say something to you in my absence. But if I'm around, they won't dare say it. And I'm like, Mo guy, what's wrong with you? It's not that deep. Until when I came back to Gauteng, a friend of mine shared what happened. You know, they had a funeral back home. And as the daughter-in-law, she was active, groceries and what. And it gave the in-laws privy to say if something goes wrong, it was X, Mrs. X. If, for example, now they'll be bullying you as well. Bullying is real in marriage. They will be bullying you. They will, like, all those things because your husband is not around. But the moment your husband is around, the tone changes. Right? So personally, because I had never experienced that, because I go everywhere with my husband, I had never experienced that, but he had foreseen that this is a possibility. Not saying that they would have done something or said something, but he knows me. Like, I'm a person, guys, like I'm a weird person. I think I'm a person where I might not react, but your comment can hurt me. And I can forgive the comment and whatever, but I won't forget. Like, my memory in terms of things that people will say, like, and I will remember how it made me feel, you know, and all of that. So it was like, I am guarding your heart, baby girl. I am guarding your heart. So I think it's very important. That's the reason why I'm saying that, knowing your partner, you know. The same goes for my husband. For example, I'm not too worried, like, when there are family functions, which there isn't a lot in my family. We don't do family functions like that. You know, but like when there are gatherings, you know, I'm not too worried when my husband is chilling with my cousins and all of that, because we have this thing in my family, right, to say that if you like someone so much, we're gonna like them too. So if they don't like us, but we like them, you know. But and I'm not too worried. Okay, it also depends. Let me just be honest. It also depends on which family members he's chilling with. There are certain family members where I'll be like, when you're around this person, be careful because 1, 2, and 3. I don't like you chilling with that person, because, do you get what I mean? And the best person who knows their family is the family member. The best person who knows the Mabundes is me. Diani cannot come like 2 years ago and think he knows everyone and what everyone is about, you know. So I think it's like those conversations that you must have, you know, like, yo, when you are with this person, look out for this, look out for that, and all of that. So, and whenever I feel like my husband is in an awkward situation, I always observe, I feel like, here, no, I will remove him from that situation, you know. So yeah, but normally, my husband and I, especially when we're back home, we don't normally do things individually, like maybe visiting family members. Like, for example, Bless the Lord. My grandparents, just the females, my grandmothers, right, are still alive. I am grateful for God, to God, not for God. I'm grateful to God that they are alive, and I love them so much. So normally I would visit my grandparents and all of that. So he would always accompany me, you know, like things, those simple things. So, and another thing about my marriage, like my husband, guys, me, I'm living the soft life. Me, my husband doesn't like to see me suffering. I mean, what? No. Like even driving, if he's around and available, I don't drive, honey. He drives me everywhere. Like literally, my husband, I don't know if it's insecurities or what, but like I like it though. If I'm going to do my hair, he will drive me. And if I'm going to say visit a family member and he's available, he will drive me, you know, like he always accompanies me. The only time he doesn't is if maybe he's busy with something, like he has to take care of something, then I'll drive myself. But in most instances he drives me and all of that, and I love him so much. Yeah, so I think guys, like with dealing with in-laws, it's relative to an individual. I just a message to our sisters-in-law, our brothers-in-law, our mothers-in-law, our fathers-in-law is that be kind to us. I think that's not a lot to ask. Be kind to us. Please be understanding that I am new at this. I'm in grade R basically. I'm new at it, and if you are willing to teach me in a kind manner, I will be willing to learn, right? But if you are gossiping about me and talking about me behind my back and saying all these nasty things about me, best believe I will not be able, and I will not be receptive to your criticism. You know, I think that is the most important thing. And the one thing a lot of people don't understand, if someone does not like me, it would be hard for someone to like my kids, if it makes sense. And if someone does not trust me, it would be hard for them to trust me with their kids. Read into that what you will. But at the same time, let's just be kind to each other, and let's just understand that we are all just trying to make this marriage thing work. So yeah, with that being said, family, I hope I answered to the best of my abilities. If anyone was offended by this video, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I'm just kidding. If you're offended, apologies. But it is my story to tell, and it is my personal experience. And obviously, I mentioned a few examples of things that I've heard or seen or observed. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. And it is up to us as the brides to decide whether we are fighting or we are just letting it go, honey. Okay, so but just be kind. I think the message I'll always preach is be kind. I have a relationship today with my paternal grandmother, a great relationship at that. And I think what contributed was the fact that she was kind to my mother. My mother could trust her, you know, and because she was kind, because she was loving, you know, she built the trust with my mom. And just a quick story about my mom and my dad. They grew up in two completely different spheres of life. Okay, my mom was a cheese girl. I'm just joking. My mom was a daughter of a headmaster, and very educated people, you know, and all of that. And my dad was a son of a businessman, and I would call it a housewife, but it was different in a sense. My mom was not allowed to go fetch water, was not allowed to carry firewood, was not like, you know, was not allowed to do that, you know. But she married into a family that does that. And I remember they still talk about it to this day. My grandmother will be like, no, I'll do it. If my grandmother cannot do it, she'll be teaching my mom and all of that. And you know what my mom did? Because she paved. Okay. So try as well as the bride to make your life easier if you can. But what I'm saying is that if you are kinder and nicer, you might it is also an advantage to the kids to come, to the generation to come, because now we are able to build bonds. We are able to trust you with our kids and all of that. But obviously if you're not kind to me and you're not nice to me, how am I going to trust you with my kids? And how can you trust me with your child? Okay, that's another question. So I think it's very important that we are nice to each other, and we are very understanding that we are not raised in the same household. We were not raised in the same household, and we learned like different things growing up, and what is important to your family was probably not important to my family. That's the reason why maybe I don't even know how to do it. Okay, so yeah, I think this video, oh my gosh, it's 30 minutes long. But anyway, if you've watched to this point, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you learned a thing or two. And yeah, if you're offended, like I said, apologies. I was just trying to share my story, okay? And just a quick disclaimer, there are a lot of encounters and experiences and stories that I can tell you about in-laws and all of that, but out of respect for my husband, I will not be talking about this topic any further. I will not be telling you any stories, you know, but just out of respect for my husband and my family, right? Yeah, so thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please like and share. Please tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to subscribe to my YouTube channel and come check out Mab. Okay, Mrs. Mabasa Mwambonya, you know. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Bye.